Yo, how's it going? I hope that you're doing good. And I got that on my back. Like Africa's got my back, I guess. Yeah, this is the autochthon, which is the land, which is the autotone, where everyone comes from. The auto sound. When God said, "Let there be light," that was the autotone, the autochthon, which is the ground, the soil, the blackness, the Ethiopia, the utopia, where everyone came from. And that actually represents this, right? Like it actually represents that cloth, it actually represents the hunter, okay? Which is the warrior who is actually representing Nimrod, funny enough, because Nimrod was the first one who was mighty on the earth, who was called a hunter, a son of Cush, Cush being Egypt, Cush being, yeah, the brother of Egypt, but Cush is not Egypt, but Cush was a large region in the southern border of Egypt. And he was the person who created the kingdoms of the earth. He started kingdoms in, yeah, he actually started Babel, which is the babe, Babe, a baby. So the baby kingdom, the first kingdom, was created by a person who was a hunter. So this didn't go well with God, and then he scattered all of the people on the earth. So from there, we got people going to different places, but the sons of this person created kingdoms in Mesopotamia and all of those. So it actually represents how life on earth started after the flood, which is when the flood of Noah came. So it's not to keep Nimrod, but it is to have the knowledge of the fact that everything on earth is gotten through hard work. This is the labor of Adam, the labor of man, that everyone's supposed to hunt, because after they were given knowledge, they had the urgency to cover their bodies, so they had to come up with something in their minds in order to clothe themselves. But God hunted or formed or created clothes for them. But then these were animal skins, so God hunted. So this is what it's about. And since then, everything has been a struggle. So since the days of old up until the time of John, the kingdom of God has suffered violence, but the violence shall take it by force. So this symbolizes aggression. It symbolizes progression, because they had to progress from that land and go to different places. So from this land of Cush, Cush had different brothers and different people. So Cush's father, Ham, had his own brothers. And um, so when Noah came out of the ark, his sons were Ham, Shem, and Japheth, three sons. So Ham, Shem, and Japheth are the ones who actually populated the whole world by copulating with old girls. Yeah, that kind of rhymes. But yeah, so they populated the whole world, and from there, the earth was divided into different tribes and regions. And from that, we get all of the nations on the earth. And I'm talking about the words like in the Bible, who which are giving us different kingdoms. So I'm speaking about Italian kingdom. So in a future video, I'm gonna break down all of those tribes and families, because this stuff is interesting to me. So me speaking about this is me just journaling this stuff and modifying what I learn and what I hear, because we learn from the ear. Learn. This is to EAR. EARN, which is to earn. This is how we get knowledge. Knowledge is now, and now is current. This is a currency. So this is how we get the currency. So this is how we earn, by learning. So this is why if you're learning something, if you're earning anything, then from what I'm speaking and from what I'm giving, and if you're hearing it, that's the EAR, the ear. If you're hearing, you're earning, you're learning. I hope you can find it in your heart to also learn to give. This is yeah. For example, they say it's a principle, right? That if you give a prophet a glass of water, you will get also the gift of the prophet. So the glass of water is a current, which is a currency. So if you give him a currency, you're gonna get a current. So this is how the world recurs. What has been is what will be. So if you are getting it, if you want to get more out of me, more out of this information, then you have to give to this platform. You know what I mean? And this is why, like, yeah, you can just like give me a glass of water. You can just get a book. Like I have a couple of books and all of that. You know, whatever is in your heart, whatever is placed in you. But that's not the point. The point is, in the Bible, there are all of these stories of all of these nations who come from a certain place, a certain person, and all of these principles embodied in the knowledge of God. So, yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to read it, but everything is in here that I'm going to be talking about. So I may or may not reference anything because I didn't, or like, I didn't like, I don't have a script, so I'm just speaking freely. This is my journal, my journey. So, if I make a mistake, this is what a journey is, but everything is definitely in here. And it's so exciting to me. That's why I even have the chance to speak it. And to speak is to have the word spear. Spear with a K instead of an R. And this is how you use what you use to hunt. So whenever you're hunting, you have a spear and you're speaking, or a sword. These are words. So this is what that is all about. All right. So I've always thought about why the Bible doesn't have certain tribes, certain people. Like, for example, right? Why doesn't it have like black people, right? Why doesn't the Bible have Chinese people? Why doesn't it have all the other people? Because that's been a misconception, because the Bible is full of black people. In fact, whenever you read any book that's written in black ink, it's probably from a black mind, because everything in our mind is black. But yeah, that's a subject for another day, because that's a whole other thing. But yeah, growing up in Africa, which is where I'm from, the motherland, the autochthon. I always used to wonder why, like, or since Jesus is definitely white in every picture I've ever seen growing up, I always used to wonder, like, hey, so what happened to us, like, blackies? Like, where did we come from? Like, yeah, and all of that. So that used to bother me a lot. But that black part is, even calling it black is, like, not good. But yeah, that blackness, that's power, that's strength, and all of that. And now I think I get it. And if you're actually following what I'm saying and you're understanding it, I'm sure you by this stage you know that most of the people represented in the Bible were melanated, melanin. Like, yeah, if that is an issue, then yeah, I guess I have a video on black is a strong color. Black is yeah, I have some videos on black. Yeah, so if you're on this journey with me in this journal, then I think you already know certain information pertaining to that. But what about the Chinese people, the Asian people? And then when you read the Bible, you actually discover that everything is there. It's comprehensive, but it's also coded. So, for example, the Asian people are there. I mean, the whole story in Revelation, the revealing, is speaking first of all about churches in Asia. Wow, yeah. So it's speaking about Asian churches, but then not only that, in the Revelation it actually speaks about Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is a city that is still existent today, right, in Pennsylvania, right, and this used to be the capital of the greatest city in our age right now, which is the capital of America used to be Philadelphia. And when the sixth angel, or the sixth letter is being read to the angel. It is to the angel of Philadelphia. And God is saying, hey, I know your works, and apparently these people in Philadelphia have the key of David, which is what Jesus was referring to when he was speaking to the lawyers, saying that you have the key of knowledge, which is with the lawyers who are hiding a single key of knowledge. So this knowledge is keeping people trapped, because you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And this is the land of the free, the home of the brave. They keep the key of freedom. So people are not able to be free because of that aspect, because that key has been hidden from our consciousness. But then, yeah, it speaks about Philadelphia, like, blatantly. But then Philadelphia is also linked to is definitely linked to America, right? And it's linked to places such as Turkey. There's a city that an old city used to be called Philadelphia. So the Turks are mentioned. And also in the sons of Japheth, one of them is actually a Turk, or not one, actually two or three of them are Turks. And the other link to Philadelphia is seen in Syria, which is the Assyrians. Syria has been a recurring theme in the Bible, like it's there as Syria. And Syria had a city called Philadelphia as well. So the link of Philadelphia is pretty strong. And there's an angel that is speaking about certain people in Philadelphia are claiming to be Jews but are not. But God will expose their works and show who the true Jews are. So this is in relation to, I don't know, some of the circulars, or not circulars, some of the information that's been floated around by the so-called elders of Zion, who are in charge of this world, who Zion being the place of God. So this is speaking about that type of understanding. And yeah, so digging deeper into Asia, there's actually a verse offhand. Where is it? Yeah, but then I'll refer to it again, because I think I'll just make a video on that specifically. In fact, I am thinking of making a whole series on different movies, because some of these movies are crazy. For example, like the whole, like, I have a video on Avengers, right? But then the whole theme of it is so crazy, hidden in mythology and metaphysics. Like the whole idea of Thanos is a Roman god called Thanatos. That's Thanos. And then Thanatos is the Roman god of death, but not just death, it's a peaceful death. So when you're watching the whole movie of Avengers Endgame and whatever, it is speaking about Thanatos, which is the brother of Hypnos. It's hypnotic. So his twin brother is Hypnos, the hypnotizer, which is speaking about the god of dreams. And Thanatos is the god of death, peaceful death, and Thanos, who is Thanatos, right, is actually trying to create balance. Balance is peace, because it's two. So he's trying to create an equilibrium by wiping out half of the whole population, half being the balance, one and two, balance, peace. So that's Thanatos. That's Thanos. That is the Thanos that is in the movie. So I want to go through different movies. So as I'm saying this, like, that's why I urge you, like, if you can, like, to support this channel, support it. You get more out of it, and I will make sure that I'll do that, because a little goes a long way, especially with a lot of things that are happening. So going into, like, Asia, right? This is the subject matter we're dealing with. Asia is also mentioned, and like, yeah, here's a trick question: what is the biggest man-made structure on Earth? And I'll give you a hint: it's a wall. And 99% probably are gonna get this wrong. The biggest man-made structure on Earth, and yeah. So Yeah, yeah. If you're thinking about it, it's a wall, the biggest one. What is it? So the chances are you're going to say it's the Great Wall of China, but that's not the case. The biggest man-made structure on Earth is actually in Africa. It's a wall as well. So I come from a place called, right, I come from a place, right, where we have walls. So these walls actually came from these people who create these wall structures. And the understanding of that wall is to have the knowledge of the different skills in engineering that these people had and where they actually came from. Okay, so yeah, so the actual the biggest man-made structure on Earth is a wall that was called the Walls of Benin. Fine, it was a trick question because it was, but then a lot of people don't know it was in the first place. But the Walls of Benin were 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China. This is Benin, and this was created by Bantu people who migrated from that area and went down south and created these different walled structures. But yeah, it was a trick question. But however, speaking of that Great Wall of China, it's actually the biggest one right now, visibly, but in reality, that's not the biggest one that's ever existed. So it's actually an interesting thing, and you actually know that this was created by Bantu people. And the whole idea of that Bantu aspect is something that is completely mind blowing and overlooked by so many factions of our society. So when we're looking at the Great Wall of China, right, which is a magnificent structure, it is actually this huge wall that is shaped like a serpent. So it represents that spirit of the serpentine spirit, which is what it is. It's just like a serpent. This is what it is. And China itself worships a certain serpent, which is a dragon. And that's the nation that worships the dragon. And the dragon is very sacred to the Chinese and all of that. And when we read the book of Revelation, we're actually in Revelation 20. We know that the dragon is also called the serpent. And when we read further on, so for this one, I think I just have to just get it right. So this is in Revelation and 20. All right. So when we read it, like Revelation 20 in verse 2, it says, "And he laid hold on the dragon, that is the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years." So I'm in no way saying that Chinese people are devilish or anything, but I'm just saying that the serpent is the dragon. Okay. So, and then in verse 8 now, it speaks about a certain person. So it says, "And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations." All right, shall go out with deception. All right, and which are in the four corners of the earth. So when we're speaking about all of the four corners of the earth, we're also including the Eastern people, which are the Chinese people, the Australian people, the people in the West, the Americans, the people in the North, the Europeans, and all of that. So Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. So these would be a lot of people. So now when we speak of Gog and Magog, now this is important. So when we speak, everything is important, I guess, but then this is super duper important for you to understand the whole element of different nations represented in the four quarters of the earth. So Gog and Magog. So Gog and Magog. Magog is a son of Japheth. So when we are in the Bible, in the book of, or you can find this in Chronicles, but for easy reference, we'll just go to this is Genesis chapter 10 right here. So it's speaking about the different sons of Japheth: Gomer and Magog and Medai and Javan and Tubal and Meshach and Tiraz. Okay, so these are the sons of Japheth, and it actually says in here that these, in verse 5, this is Genesis 10:5. These were the isles of the Gentiles. These were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their lands. So these are the Gentiles, okay. And it's also interesting to realize that the son of Japheth, all of the sons of Japheth created the Gentiles, which will dwell in the tents of Shem. But that includes Gog and Magog, right? So when you're into the stories of Ezekiel, Ezekiel is very, 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 very important because Ezekiel saw the angels, the cherubim and the seraphim. He saw the cherubim, and the cherubim are the ones who guard the tree of life. So when you want to understand where the tree of life is, it is through the knowledge or the prophecies of Ezekiel, who was writing about the Tyrus, the king of Tyrus. And the king of Tyrus was the king of Tyre, which is the king of tyrants, writing about tyranny. And he's also referenced, that's in chapter 28. He's writing about the prince and the king of Tyrus and how everyone in the earth was actually trading with them. And in 28, 10 chapters after that, he starts to write about Gog and Magog and his brothers, Meshach and Tubal. So this is in 28. So in all of that, the essence of it is the Gog and Magog aspect is also in Revelation, is in Genesis. So it's in the beginning of the book, it's in the end of the book, and it's also in Ezekiel in the middle of the book. So it's a very important aspect. So Gog and Magog, it's interesting to understand that Magog is Mongol. So these are the Mongols. The Mongolians are the people who are also linked to Meshach. Meshach is Mashek, is Macho, is Moscow, Mashek, Mako. So this is Macau, okay? Moscow, Meshach, and Magog were brothers. This is how the Soviet Union actually is Russia, and Russia, Moscow was the governance of the whole Soviet Union with Mongolia. Mongolia took over China, and that's how they multiplied, because those guys were so crazy. So they used to just multiply, rape everybody. And these were the Gentiles. And Moscow is Meshach. So Meshach, Moscow, Mongol, Magog. Gog are also the Goths. The Goth is the people in Germany. So all of this is actually integrated in the text of the Bible. So Meshach is the brother of Magog. Magog is a Mongol. The Mongol is the man, which is where the whole aspect of the tyranny comes from, which is the king of the prince of Tyre was very rich. That money was called money. Right now it's actually still called yuan. The yuan is the money, which is how they used to rule. But the people who came with the yuan were the Mongols, who now are all over Asia. So they were part of the Russians, and they had a confederation because they are actually kin. So Gog was the Goth. So the Goths are the people who ended up in Germany. So this is actually also linked to Japheth, who is the father of these Gentiles. So one of the sons of them, or another son of him, is also still there. So, and the sons of Gomer. So Gomer had Ashkenaz. So Ashkenaz is actually now a branch of Jews. So most of the Jews that are in Europe are Ashkenazi. So this actually has the suffix of Nazi. So these actually were in Germany. These were there. So oh yeah, this is tricky territory. So so the Ashkenazis are part of the Jews that are there, and also there are some Jews that are also in Spain. Some are in Israel, some are in Africa, and all of these are integrated into the Bible. So having said that, we'll get deeper into this subject matter in the very next video. So thank you so much for watching.